Good afternoon. It is April 28th. Welcome to Scouching Live. I, of course, am Will, the host of the show. As usual, I am joined by my producer, Mr. AJ
Where's the
Jadaro, fresh off of
illustrious?
whatever adjective you want to put in there. Excellent,
Uh,
His Excellency, His
okay.
Majesty, whatever you want to call it.
His most
Fre-
talented and handsome
sure,
producer.
whatever. Yeah. Like fresh off of overnight shifts on the weekend, fresh as a daisy today, ready to go, ready to party. How
Yep.
are you?
Yep. That sums it up. That sums it up.
Awesome. Sick. Anyway, welcome to the show. We got a good one. There's definitely no shortage of things to speak about. So we'll get right into it. But before we do, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the NHL playoffs and the under 18s and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, it's pronounced the Stanley Cup playoffs, as John Shannon yelled at me. So get
Okay,
it right.
The Stanley Cup playoffs. It is the National Hockey League playoff tournament to decide who takes home the Stanley Cup, the oldest trophy in professional sports or whatever, something like that. But anyway, before we do, obviously, me being a Canadian, it is election day in Canada, so you'll have plenty of time to get out and vote. It's a good day to do that. Otherwise, you forfeit your right to complain about the world. And the other thing I wanted to talk about or bring up briefly is your garden. Finally, the Swedish Hockey League is getting a team in Stockholm back, as your garden got themselves into the SHL for next season off of the backs of many performances from very excellent players, but obviously some headliners for the 2025 draft. Victor Eklund played in those games. Anton Frondell was in most of them and was more of a spare forward in the last couple of games. And it was, yeah, I mean, that series was pretty lopsided. But yeah, congrats to your garden for getting themselves back in. If you haven't seen videos of the celebration that they did, clearly there was a lot of tension and that pent up energy there because the fans rushed the ice and everybody was crying and it was all crazy and fun. So congrats to them. And the last thing before we get into the show, because I have to mention this, I cannot. I have a gripe with Microsoft right now because they have actively, like, they couldn't have waited until after the NHL draft into July to do what they've done over the last week and a half with Xbox Game Pass by throwing the Oblivion remastered on there, the enhanced remade GTA 5 or GTA 5 and that Blueprints game which is sucking up my life, and of course the one that everyone's talking about is the Expedition 33 game that also hit Xbox Game Pass all in about the last week and a half. And my sleep schedule is now completely gone out the window because I'm also watching the playoffs and also watching the U18s. And I'm also trying to get my scouting reports done. Uh, it's bananas over here. I am losing my mind very, very slowly if I haven't already. And on that note, yeah, so Microsoft, calm down, and should have done this later just for me. But on that note, scouting reports, they're starting to come. If you are a subscriber to scouching.ca, you have access to them now in your accounts. There's a playlist that you can access there. And if you are not, we'll be doing for the first time this year, we're going to be doing instant premieres tomorrow and the day after at noon. So I will be in the videos with you watching them, and we can do some Q&A and some stuff like that in the chat box while that video premieres. So if you haven't ever seen one of those before, you can come check it out. And if you have seen them before, you know how much fun they can be. So definitely come check it out. And so, yeah, we're going to have at least two this week that have been out for a little while. We're stitching together the other, I think I've done four more. Yeah, four more. And then I've got how many more ready to go here?
And this time they're edited by Rayanne because
Yes, because
working.
AJ quit.
I didn't quit.
He quit on me. He got tired of my crap and he
No, I'm
quit
just
on me.
getting paid more to do something else.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so we've got one, two, three,
If the quality
four
goes
that I,
down, you know why. It's because I'm not there.
yes. Yeah.
But
We
Rayanne
have
will do a good job.
yeah, we have five more ready to film, so I'm going to record those over the course of this week. So that will put us already up to 11, and we're going to get those out as soon as we can. So if you want to see them as soon as you can, get yourself a Scouching subscription, because any tier will get you early access to those videos, and you'll seem smarter than all your NHL draft geek friends quicker than everyone else. So there's that. But anyway, let's get into the story of the hockey world the last little while, which is Mike Sullivan getting fired. I have nothing really to say about that, honestly. I don't really know how much time you want to spend on it, but
Just surprising, but
yeah, I guess it's a little surprising, but GMs love to pick their own coaches, so we'll see how it goes. But no, in all seriousness, this obviously the playoffs are what's going on right now,
Mhm.
and they're still absolutely on fire. And just every year, the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs is just the best. It's the best, the best, the best, the best. So we're going to start with probably the one everybody's been watching the most of, and that's Washington, Montreal.
Yep.
And last night, we were treated to another spectacular game. I mean, the Bell Center was, I'm surprised the whole place didn't come down. Our good friend, our wonderful close colleague, Scam McGillicuddy, was at the game. And on a whim, I saw him over the weekend, and on a whim managed to convince him to get in the car, drive up to Montreal, go to the game, and spend some time there, and then come home. And he got that game. So it started out awesome. You know, Montreal gave some hope to the fans that this might get what would be the word you would call it? Interesting, scary for Washington.
Yeah, no, I
I
think
don't
that's a
know
fair
what you would
assessment.
call it. Yeah, it was, I would say, for about 55 minutes of that game, it was
Well, what?
anybody's game.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going there.
What?
No, I was
Yes.
gonna be like, oh, it felt like Montreal should win type thing, but Washington scored
Yes.
first.
Well, that's the thing. Washington did score first, but by the end of that period, Montreal was winning.
Because your
And
children assisted on
yes,
both the Montreal goals, Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov.
they did. They
But
did.
they were both power play goals, so they don't actually
Yeah.
count. And
No, they
Montreal
don't count.
really lost 3-0 because we don't count empty netters either.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's how we do things here. But I mean, so let's just
What a fun series, honestly.
yes,
It's just been awesome to watch and be neutral in it, even though I hate Ovi, so I don't want him to win for me hating Ovi reasons.
he didn't score last night, you
It's
know.
because he sucks. That's what I've been trying to say all this
Oh, boy.
time. Even the broadcast brought it up. Oh, he hasn't scored in a little while. It's because he sucks, everybody. I will die on that hill.
I mean, I will say watching him on the power play for Washington is hilarious. It is just the best. It's there's no one like him. It's great.
I think the funniest thing to come out of that game was Tom Wilson doing the crying face.
Yeah, over the weekend.
That
Yeah,
was
that was
awesome.
hilarious.
Thank you to Rayanne for putting that in the thumbnail because
Yeah, I mean, Tom Wilson is being vintage Tom Wilson.
oh yeah.
And that is simultaneously really annoying, but also kind of awesome as like a neutral observer. Like that guy, I mean, the broadcast talked about it a lot last night, but after that hit on Alex Carrier last night, I mean, that kind of changed the whole formula of the game. Like the ice kind of tilted from there.
And the fact that he
And
didn't take a fight and then they ended up scoring on that
yeah,
play as well. Like
exactly.
Tom Wilson
Yeah.
is a very, very good player.
And then the empty net, at the end was Tom Wilson.
Yep.
You know, like that is a stab in the gut. Like that's like seppuku style, right? Like where they stab in the gut and then twist. Like that's what that kind of was like for Montreal fans, which kind of sucks because I don't think Montreal deserves to be down 3-1 in this series, but they are. So the title of the show, are the Montreal Canadiens cooked? Are they done? Is this it for them? They're going back to Washington.
I can see them win a game, but I don't think they're winning this series.
I would agree, but like they have to win in Washington, and Washington took the first two games,
Mhm.
and Montreal took the first in Montreal.
But like game
So
1 went to overtime.
it did. They were close games. Both of those games were close, and I mean, it's so weird watching that series because like it's like one team, like Washington, is definitely like the more, I would use the word like experienced
Polished, even.
structured, polished. Yeah, polished is a good way to put it. But Montreal, like they've got juice. Like Montreal has energy and these young players who
Are
just
performing.
are performing and get through the structure of Washington. Like it's almost like a really interesting counter to a team like Washington, where it's just, I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not. It's just like have really good players who can carve their way through that kind of thing and chip in and outwork the opposition when it matters. And at times the Montreal Canadiens are doing that. And they're right in this series. Like, I don't think that they're done at all. To answer the question in the title of the show, I don't think they're cooked. But and yeah, like I mean, they didn't score at even strength. Obviously, that's not
Ideal.
amazing. But I mean, at the end of the day, like they were getting their chances. They were really getting their chances. I mean, the thing, I mean, the the goaltending story of this series has been out of control with the injuries.
Yep.
And Sam and I swear, we laughed so hard at the e-bug that Montreal brought in, not because of who he was, but he just looked petrified. And they were up by 1 goal in a playoff game where if they lose, it's a 3-0 series. And he is one hamstring tweak away, one knee, like one Tom Wilson skating into you and landing on your knee away from being a goaltender in an NHL playoff game, in a game that is the most consequential of the entire season for the Montreal Canadiens. I putting myself in that guy's head, like I feel like, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, so I apologize. I think he's a cop from Montreal, and I couldn't stop laughing at the thought of this guy having to come into this game because it just seemed so absurd. And I tried to put myself in his head, and I think that's what was making me laugh, is like I just could not understand how I would feel. Like I feel like I'd be so scared that I would just be like laughing and having fun. Like I'd go nuts. But I don't know. Luckily he didn't have to go in. And he gets a nice little souvenir for when he goes home, and a great story for all of his friends and family. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the best series of this playoffs. There's a ton of really good ones.
You know what's been really cool? Not that Patrick Laine is hurt, but the fact that Ivan Demonov's gotten an increased role as a result of that. And what do you know? Me screaming, put Demidov on the power play, and he gets 2 points.
Right. He has had some moments for sure.
This is like what, his fifth game?
5th NHL game. Yeah, 6th maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's all forgivable, but
he's got 2 points in that.
But that's the thing that's kind of exciting about this. This, like I said this at the beginning, like it kind of reminds me of when Toronto played Washington in 2017, where they were this young, plucky, happy-go-lucky group of guys who were just happy to be there, and they pushed Washington around a little bit. Like that was, they looked like a team capable of beating the Washington Capitals, and a couple games went to overtime, I think, and didn't go their way and whatever. So like if I'm Montreal, regardless of what happens on the 30th here in this game, I'm so happy with how this season has gone because you got that playoff performance. And as a bonus, like you're getting to see Jakub Dobeš play in net as a backup to your main starting goaltender in the playoffs. And he's doing just fine, like largely. I think the first goal last night might have been a little bit questionable. I think he kicked a rebound way out right onto Dylan Strom's stick or something like that. But I mean, by and large, he kept his team in the game and they were doing just fine. And 2 of those goals were empty netters anyway. So, you look at the score line and you might go, 5-2 is a bad score line for a goaltender, but he wasn't even in the net for 2 of them.
You know what's crazy though?
Yeah.
Like the Habs power play is not older than 25. Like Nick Suzuki's the oldest player on the Habs power play. And
all of their veterans
everybody
are
else,
down the lineup.
Everybody else on that power play is younger than me, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it's really exciting. And they are an exciting team, and you can tell that the project, I guess you could call it, like the Kent Hughes era project, is starting to like come together a little bit. where like they have Martin St. Louis there. He was this inexperienced coach, this guy out of nowhere who obviously NHL legend, right? Of course, but like in terms of coaching experience, basically had none. And like functionally, professionally, I should say, but comes in and they play the long game here. Like this is his what, third season with them, I think.
Something like
I
that.
think. And they've just continuously made steps to get better and better and better. And I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this trend continues. And I'm hopeful that more people in the NHL look at this and go, if we're a team that is sort of coming off of a high and maybe down in the basement a little bit, maybe this is the kind of approach we should go, is like think outside the box a little bit, think creatively about who you want running your teams and play the long game, right? Like I've said this a few times on the show, but like David Carl, who's been interviewing for jobs here and there, has been open about why that doesn't exist much in the NHL, but he wants to be in a system like that. But NHL teams don't usually want that. So, it's like the shelf life of a coach is all based on current results and not setting the stage for like long-term success. But Montreal seems to be setting that stage of like, these guys have gotten consistently more and more stitched together as a group. You can tell that they love playing with each other. Like they're just there for the vibes. And, obviously you could say similar things about Washington, sure, but they're not in the same position. And with Montreal, it's been really, really amazing to see them in this playoff, like really taking it to the best team in the league, or one of the best teams in the league, at least on paper.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, and like you said, like the Lions' share of the output and real counter to Washington has come from the younger players, and the veterans are more of this support cast that augments the top end sort of younger players on the lineup. So it's been great to see, and I've been having a ton of fun.
And Connor McMichael for Washington.
Yes,
he rules.
That was another one we wanted to mention. Yeah, he has become quite a player for them. That I don't know what to. I mean, he did try to throw an elbow in open ice there pretty blatantly, which was maybe a little greasy, but hey, it's the playoffs.
Yep.
Greasy stuff happens, But yeah, Connor McMichael has been a bright spot for Washington. I mean, they are the team that's up 3-1. We haven't talked about them much, but like that's kind of expected considering the difference in standings between these two teams. But they've been fought, like they've been good. They've just been good and
Montreal's
solid.
Kind of like, not that they fully kept up with them, but they're making it interesting and keeping it somewhat close.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they're pushing them, they're testing them.
Yeah.
So
where do we go now?
Where do we go now, producer
man? I
McDavid has risen.
Oh yes, Mr. McDavid. Yes, this Connor McDavid fella and the Oilers, I guess. Well, McDavid and Bouchard and
Draisaitl and I guess Corey Perry.
Yeah, I suppose. And then just a bunch of other guys taking on the entire LA Kings roster. My God, that is a series. Not that Montreal Washington is not, but the drama of the Edmonton LA series, it's like a Shakespearean play. It is just insane. Like that was the first game where the winning team scored fewer than 6 goals.
Wait, what?
Like, yeah, the first game was 6-5 LA.
Oh,
Second game was 6-2 LA. Third game was 7-4 Edmonton. And last night was 4-3 in overtime. So
who cares about goaltending, man? That's
who cares about as long as you win. Yeah. I mean, Calvin Pickard. Is Calvin Pickard the savior of the Edmonton Oilers? Is that,
No.
38 saves last night on 41 shots?
I mean, he did well, actually, all things considered.
Yeah. That was a winnable game that was obviously a winnable game for LA. They were in the driver's seat of that game for a very, very, very long time.
They were.
And it just fell apart. And I mean, overtime was great. Like that was, I feel like the ice was pretty tilted towards Edmonton there. Yeah. But that overtime was still a heck of a ride.
Like the first two periods were pretty much all LA, and then Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl just said nah and decided to go Super Saiyan mode with Corey Perry and Evan Bouchard. Even though Evan Bouchard was still terrible defensively, That's what's so great about Evan Bouchard. He's simultaneously so horrible and so awesome at the same time that you just don't know what you're gonna get. Actually, you know what you're gonna get. You just don't know how many times it's gonna go in for you and
Yeah,
against you. That's
exactly.
really what
That's
it
it.
is.
You have no idea. You're rolling the dice with Evan Bouchard every shift. I love it personally. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
obviously like I'm not attached to the Oilers personally, so I love watching it happen
Yes, it's the
because
best.
you just like 2 goals in the third period single-handedly tied the game up from Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, and he's like
But
the second or the fourth blue liner in
yeah,
Stanley Cup playoff history to score multi-goal games back to back, like have multi-goal
yeah,
games back to back, which is
and you
hilarious.
and you could argue that he was the reason that this game was tilted towards LA
Yes,
in the first place, right?
yes.
So, I mean, gee whiz, it's so much fun. And I mean, look, that's the other thing too. You mentioned it briefly, but like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl played really well too.
Yep.
Sure, he scored the game winner, obviously, but like Connor McDavid is, it's literally like you see why other NHL players talk about Connor McDavid like they do in the playoffs. He is functionally like unstoppable. Like if he's angry and like motivated, not saying there are times when Connor McDavid's not motivated, like obviously to be that good, you're motivated. But like like Edmonton's back was against the wall big time in this game. And yeah, Bouchard
Definitely.
scored the 2 goals, but especially in overtime, I was sitting back watching Connor McDavid going, this guy is not letting this team lose this game. Like it's just not going to happen. Like, I mean, maybe it could happen, right? He can't be on the ice the whole time. But if he's on the ice, they're not losing. It's just not going to happen. Like there was multiple occasions where he just sliced through like 3 LA Kings guys, got to the net, set up chances, got pucks in deep, so to speak, all these things. And he's incredible to watch. Like it's
Just the greatest player I've ever seen. And
yes.
it's not close. Like I love Sidney
And
Crosby, but he
well,
can't
yeah.
he can't do what McDavid does, man, in terms of like
I mean, he's a freakazoid.
individually as a skilled player. Like,
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby is so goddamn smart,
Yes.
but Connor McDavid is just so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but and it's not just the speed though. Like it's the like gaining body positioning
No,
on
but
retrievals.
it's how
and,
fast he does everything, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
the pace of his game is why we look for guys who have pace, because
yes,
if you can play at that speed like Connor McDavid, I mean nobody
yeah,
can. It's just him, but we're looking for guys who can come at levels under that, if that makes sense, like just a couple tiers below it, because that is truly special and magical.
yeah, yeah. It was really every game has been a a a, a theatrical performance from both teams,
It's been
like
awesome.
in so many different ways. And I don't know, like I don't know how the NHL isn't like the most popular thing in North America. Like it's the playoffs sell themselves so much.
I
Like,
think it's
and
just
this is why.
personalities, man. I
Well,
think
sure,
it
right?
really has to do with the personalities of the game.
Yes. Like once
Edmonton
people
fans
watch a playoff game,
travel well. That line from the
yeah,
All-Star game in
yeah, yeah,
Toronto last
yeah.
year always kills me.
I mean, Michael Bublé being on mushrooms was maybe the best thing that happened to the NHL, and they didn't capitalize on it at all. Obviously, you can't advocate for someone doing illegal drugs, but it was objectively hilarious.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think I mean, yeah, I can't wait until the 29th. Well, that's tomorrow, but I still can't wait. I don't want to. I am so happy that I've stayed up and watched every single one of these games because I don't know who's going to win this series now. I really don't. Like the Kings kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Something
in game
stupid's going to
3.
happen. That's kind of the
Yeah.
way I feel. It's going to be some really horrible one-off mistake that costs whatever team the series. And I feel
Yeah.
like Evan Bouchard is going to be on the ice, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
In the decisive moment.
And I said this to you last night because we were watching the game together, and
Yeah.
I feel like last year this happened to Edmonton a lot too,
Yeah.
where they looked like they were gonna lose. Like they looked like a team that just did not look like a Stanley Cup champion contender. Like they just looked, and then of course
Connor
here goes the
McDavid.
big boys, right? Connor McDavid,
But you know what?
Bushbaum,
Corey Perry has been really
yeah,
good.
Corey Perry too, coming through and doing his
They've
thing
loaded
and
up a
sitting
top
on.
line of Corey Perry, Connor McDavid, and
Yeah,
Leon Draisaitl. That's so
he was
crazy to me.
he was sitting on Darcy Kemper's
Did
head.
you see
He
the
was,
goal that he scored?
yeah,
Where he just like controls the puck, flipping his blade back and forth essentially, and then bringing it down without high sticking it and
yeah,
putting it in. That was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen.
yeah.
And he did it with
Filthy
such ease.
McNasty. Yeah,
Such
yeah,
ease.
yeah. Really, 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 really good, still effective player, right? Like he's still got it. And he might not be what he was, but you can see even in his old age, so to speak, uh he still brings a
Still
lot to the
clutch,
team.
man. Still clutch.
And that was a huge goal for them. Like a huge goal. Cause boy, at like 2-0 that early in the second period, like they needed that really, really bad. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win this series, frankly, at this point. Like, if Edmonton comes back and pulls this off, going down 2-0 like that and having the vibes be like what they were and figuring out a way to pull it off, like, good on them. I still think the LA Kings, like,
Should win
especially
this
going
series.
back home, hopefully, I feel like it might go to 7. I mean, my bracket has them going to 7, but boy,
I'm
it's
excited.
been better than I thought it would be. It's been way better than I thought it would be. And
Who thought
I
the
don't know.
fourth part of a series we've seen 3 years in a row would be
Yeah,
maybe my favorite series so far?
yeah, 100%. Like the drama, the storylines, the goaltending issues, the rallying, the drama with the challenging a penalty and taking a penalty where you end up losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god,
Love it.
insane stuff.
You know what
Yeah,
else is
like this.
insane?
I don't know. I don't know.
The fact that
Lots
Connor
of things.
Hellebuck has gone missing.
Yeah, let's go there. St. Louis Winnipeg is 2-2. That is unexpected. The St. Louis Blues have scored 5 or more they have in the last 2 games they've scored 5 or more in their wins. But this is another high scoring series except for game 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that's largely due to Connor Hellebuck. My god, what is someone in the comments I saw already, like, it needs to be studied, like, what happens to him in the playoffs, because this is the 3rd year in a row or something where he's just been brutal.
And he's won the Vezina.
Yeah.
Like, didn't he win? Am I crazy that he won last year too?
Yes, he did.
Or like
Yeah.
he's gonna win this year? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he has 2 Vezina trophies. But yeah, the last arguably 3 seasons, this year, the year before, and the year before, all under an 890 save percentage. He's got an 817 this year in the playoffs,
Which
like,
is brutal.
I don't care how good your team is. Like, this is why going into the playoffs, like, my brain kind of resets. Like, I don't care what happens going into the playoffs, because a couple of bad nights from your goaltender and you're done. Like, a couple of just things that just don't go your way and you're finished. And you could be, look at the Boston Bruins a couple years ago, right? They were the best regular season team ever, bumped in the first round, right? But a goal, like, what's the saying about coaches? Show me a good coach and I'll show you a good goaltender.
Yep, that's the
Like,
same.
having a Vezina winning goaltender who now for the 3rd year in a row is not stopping pucks in the playoffs. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. And yes, his save percentage right now is 81.7%. Like, that's brutal.
And in all those years he's been in the playoffs, sub 900 save percentage.
890, sub 89%.
Yeah.
For the record, Jordan Binnington has also not been amazing. He's got a 907.
That's fine,
like,
though. That's fine.
It's fine. It's good enough, but that's not, Calvin Pickard turned away 38 of 41. That's way better than that. Like, there are goalies out there who are turning in pretty insane performances.
Calvin Pickard is what this year's who was the goal? I'm trying to remember. I had it in my head, and then
Anti-Ranta. He's this year's Anti-Ranta. But yeah, I mean,
No, I just
I don't know.
completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. But like the Blues, I don't think it's so much that the Jets have been bad because the Blues have also played really well. Like they are getting, we've said this on the show before, but like the guys driving the bus for St. Louis in the playoffs, they're again, like they're younger guys, but they've been there a while. But they like, I mean, their leading scorer is Cam Fowler, though. I just saw that. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, he's got a lot of points.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like they don't even have Dylan Holloway in the lineup. And that's a boost that they could get, that they could have. Jake Neighbors has been really good, from what I've seen.
It's kind of crazy. Like, even in the last game, the Winnipeg Jets outshot them. Like, this was a game that was more in favor of Winnipeg for the most part.
Yeah.
And they even started, like, in front.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a winnable series for Winnipeg. Like, it should be. But when your Vezina winning goaltender is saving 4 of 5 shots, you're not going to win. And I don't know if there's much else really going on there. Like St. Louis has the offensive firepower to challenge Connor Hellebuck in multiple ways. They've got physical guys, they've got skilled guys, they've got all kinds of stuff. And if you're not able to stop that from going in the net, I don't know. It's not going to work. And I mean, someone just commented if Winnipeg had Velarde and Ehlers, St. Louis would be cooked. I mean, maybe, but those guys don't prevent Connor Hellebuck from letting in 1 goal in every 5 shots. Like, it just makes it so much more difficult. And it's not even like his workloads have been crazy, right? Like game 3, there were 28 total shots on net. Game 4 for St. Louis, that is. And in game 4, it was 24. Again, it was 24 and 27 or 28. Sorry. 28 in game 3, 24 in game 4. Oh my God. There we go. I got it. Which is not that much. Like that's anyway. So on it again, I don't know what's going to happen, but if Connor Hellebuck has another bad night and the St. Louis Blues go up 3-2,
he's been pulled in back-to-back games as well.
Yeah, back-to-back games he's been pulled. I have to think that a goaltender with multiple Vezina winning trophies and Vezina winning seasons and previous playoff runs where he's been pretty good is going to lock in and buckle down and figure this out, especially going back home.
But he hasn't.
I know he hasn't, but I have to hope that he's gonna. But
I still play him. I still.
Well, yes,
like, you have to.
Yeah,
you have to play him and be like, you got to figure this out.
Yeah, like what else is he there for, right? Like
to win Vezina trophies and get a higher contract.
Like it sends such a terrible message if you have a guy who is on one of the best teams in the league, Vezina winning trophy year after year, goes to the playoffs, and then like because of like he loses his standing with the team because of his playoff performances. Like it's wild. I don't know the last time I've seen something like this happen with a goaltender in the playoffs for multiple years in a row, but it's wild. Someone mentioned, it needs to be studied for science. And I don't know. I mean, but I have to believe that a guy capable of being that good, we've seen it,
can turn it around.
Is gonna turn it around. Like if he doesn't, I don't know what the hell you do. I don't know what you do. Get him a therapist or something, but I don't know. But it's pretty wild. That series has been quite wild. I wouldn't say as exciting as like Montreal, Washington or something, or Edmonton, LA, but fascinating, I would say, is the word I would use.
Yeah. So you want to move over to the next series? Or is there anything else you want to throw in quickly about this? Like I did see a comment mentioning about Velarde and Ehlers, which is a fair point, but still, Connor Hellebuck's been so bad that I think the series would still be tied.
Yeah. If Connor Hellebuck can't stop a puck, they're gonna win. St. Louis is gonna win.
So,
anything else? Where do we go? You've got the list.
Yeah. So we're going to Carolina and New Jersey, and boy howdy, this has been the least interesting series by far, and it's just been filled with injuries, and I feel very sad. Poor Freddie Anderson, man. Poor Freddie Anderson.
Not his first rodeo dealing with injuries. Hopefully Kochetkov can keep them in it, but I even think if he's just average, they'll be fine. This is not. I mean, there was the one like this again. The only game New Jersey won went to double overtime. Like this series very well could be over already.
Yep.
Um, it's like watching the Winnipeg St. Louis. Even if Hellebuck were just average, you can still see St. Louis as a team that is taking it pretty hard to the Winnipeg Jets, right? But I'm watching this series, Carolina, New Jersey, and it just feels like a mismatch. It's just been a mismatch between these two teams. I mean, Andrei Svechnikov a hat trick last night. That was fun, or yesterday afternoon, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Second career hat trick in the playoffs.
Yep.
I remember the first one. It
Yep.
was against the Rangers. And I
Yep.
remember being like, oh, that guy's my age. And he's doing that at 20 years old.
Yep.
I'm a failure.
I'm not an elite NHL player. God, I'm a failure in life.
Yep.
Whatever shall I do? I'm not one of those 1% of the 1% of the 1% hockey players in the world.
That's why I joined you, another failure, right?
Exactly right. That's 100% correct. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I this series continues tomorrow. It's going back to Carolina.
Does it continue after tomorrow?
I don't
think so.
I don't think so.
It could. But I don't think
could.
So.
But like the way the Devils look right now, like they've got some guys. It's the same problem as some other teams have. Like, and it's not because the Devils like are constructed poorly, but they just have injuries. But
they're constructed
you
with
look
a
at
lot of glass pieces and fragile pieces.
Yeah, and Carolina just they have depth. Like Carolina has multiple lines of guys who go out and play Carolina Hurricanes hockey and play it pretty well. So it just chips away at them. Like it just chips away and chips away and chips away. And next thing you know, the game is 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like April 29th, Carolina's going to take it. And now that I've said that, we're going to get a Sheldon Keefe comeback, and the series is going to go to 7.
Just to lose,
only to lose. Yeah, they're going to come back and then lose in overtime in Game 7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
sounds about right.
I mean, in all seriousness, though, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen much out of Carolina, or I'm going they're getting lucky, or they don't deserve to be up 3-1, or
Carolina.
whatever. They're just the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah. They're gonna figure it out and probably get to the conference final and get swept, because that's what's happened the last 3 years or whatever it was, right? So, or whatever. But no, I mean, hopefully not. But,
and I don't think this series has been boring because nobody cares about these franchises. These two, funny enough, the Hurricanes and the Devils are my second and third favorite team in the NHL. Yeah. It's just they're not. There's no Jack Hughes. There's no Jack Hughes.
Yeah. It's a mismatch. Like it's just not like
there's no Luke Hughes.
Yeah, like Carolina, their top 6 isn't the one that's Carolina's top 6 isn't the one driving the bus. Like in the comments, it's like the depth of their team is, and the aggressiveness of their team is what's doing it. So I don't know. That's a tough hill for New Jersey to get over, and I don't know if it's going to happen. You never know. There's the singer hasn't come out from backstage to do the swan song yet, but she's getting ready.
I know the saying you're thinking of.
It's not there yet. We're getting there. But anyway, Carolina tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. But I'm not totally sold on this turning in the favor of the New Jersey Devils anytime soon.
So another uphill battle series.
Yep.
We'll move on to for one team that happens to play in the nation's capital of Canada.
Oh yeah. These ones?
Yeah.
Right. The Ottawa Senators. Oh boy.
Just quickly, I'm going to answer the question about why I like them as like the Devils and Carolina Hurricanes as franchises. Carolina's my spirit animal. They just think very similar to me, and I love what they do. Generally, I thought the offer sheet on Kotkaniemi was so funny. Even if it is stupid, I just loved it. But I like the players they bring in. I love Svechnikov. I love Seth Jarvis. Love Sebastian Aho. I love that they went and tried to get Rantanen, but it just didn't work out, and they were able to pivot and get Logan Stankoven. Like, they're just aggressive. and I
I
love
was
it.
just
And I
gonna say
love
Logan.
and Jack Hughes. I just love Jack Hughes. That's why the Devils are third. Jack Hughes is one of my favorite players stylistically. He's just so much fun to watch. But we'll move back in.
Hughes there, and Heischer.
Yeah. And
They got
Jesper
some fun
Bratt.
ones.
Jesper Bratt's so
Yeah,
good.
Jesper Bratt. Yeah, Bratt's a good player too. And they also are
They also have
up
my
that
boy
sort of
Douglas Hamilton, who I just
Douglas
find so
Hamilton.
fun. Just so much fun to watch.
Yep. So you're the Leaf guy.
Yes.
Even though I've got Leaf stuff up on the wall here, you're the Leaf guy.
I'm the optimistic Leaf fan. You're the down in the dumps Leaf fan. That's kind of the way it operates. I think you just pretend not to be one.
I'm 30. Well, way to expose me. I'm 34 years old. I've seen things that you have not.
No, I've seen a lot of horrible playoff series losses. Okay, it does not. You actually got to see
that. It's not about that.
Okay, that's fine. But
it's the whole thing. Anyway, whatever. But what are your thoughts about this series? Where this is headed?
I feel like the Senators have played well. I feel like them getting at least one win makes sense to me, and they should have at least one win in this series. I still think Toronto's going to win this, like I always have. And what I like about this Leaf team, oddly enough, a lot of the players I've criticized in the regular season, like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and even Scott Laughton to an extent, like Laughton's been fine, and OEL's actually been good. And Simon Benoit, man, holy crap. Simon frickin' Benoit. Simone Benoit. He's now, I will now call him by his actual name. He's earned my respect. Mad respect, that is. So, I just feel like this Leafs team right now, and these words could come back to bite me, feel mentally unshakable at this point. Like, at the moment, it feels like a team that is very well put together and mentally with it, and whatever happens to them doesn't feel like it affects them in the same way that it would have before, which I think is a really big thing for them. And their core four has been outstanding. I think they've scored over 20 points combined.
Can I also point out one name you haven't mentioned who has, I would argue this player is very slowly working his way into core.
Oh, like, Matthew Nyes, he's been awesome.
Yeah. Matthew Nyes is bananas.
Oh,
like that is I think one of the best draft picks a team has made relative to spot in the draft in years. Like, I mean, Stankoven, sure, he's there for sure. But Nyes, I mean, nobody. I think there was one outlet in my archive that had Nyes in the first round. And I am guilty of the same thing. Like, when I saw him play that year, I knew that he had mononucleosis that year. He had been injured, like all of these things against him. But when I had seen him that year, I still didn't really see this out of him at all. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, they took the swing. They bet on him, and it very, very quickly looked like a very good decision. And now seeing him in the playoffs in this series, I can't tell you how many times I've looked at him and gone, I don't know who I trust watching the Leafs. I don't know who I would trust more with the puck on their stick in this series, other than like William Nylander, than maybe Matthew Nyes. Like, maybe Austin Matthews, I guess.
Yeah,
but
that's who I would say.
Nyes has been unbelievable in this series, at least to me. And
he's just such a compliment to what they have. Like,
yes,
his game
100%.
is so powerful, and just the way he gets in to the offensive zone, like, does a spin-off move where he kind of cuts inside and just finds space for a trailing forward. Awesome. Yeah. I love him.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone mentions Brandon Carlo as well. He's been good.
Like, everybody's been solid. I feel top to bottom, everybody's been solid who they've brought in.
Yeah.
So, like, Scott Laughton's not done a whole lot, and he's not worth a first-round pick by any means, but he's been okay.
Well, I mean, they did the trade deadline thing. You overpay for things that you think are going to benefit you in the playoffs, right? And Carlo has been a benefit. Like, Fraser Minton is not going to move the needle for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs this year, probably, right? You know, Nikita Grubyankin is not going to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs this year. Like, that's the logic that teams have.
You could have played both of them, honestly.
technically yes, but realistically they're not. These guys played like
And I feel like
7
you
games
might be
during the
better
regular.
off, honestly. But
Okay.
I'd still want to bring in Brandon Carlo for what he's done. Like, he's been really solid, and even look, Morgan Riley's been great.
Yep.
Been great.
Yep.
Playoff Morgan Riley is a real thing, except for last year.
Yep.
He was very mid last year in the playoffs, but every other year, very good. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I don't know if they'll close it out immediately, but I feel like we're going to get a really close game, and it's going to be decided by 1 goal. And eventually the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to break through in this series. But credit to Ottawa. They've been really good for the most part. And the one game that I felt like the Leafs actually outplayed the Senators, the Sens won. So it's just one of those things with this series. I think in the history, like, the Toronto Maple Leafs have like 30 plus wins against the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs, and like all but 2 of those wins have been where they've been outshot by the Ottawa Senators, just historically, which is hilarious. So funny to me.
I mean, but that's the thing. That's the thing that is the twist on all of this. We talked a lot about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but the Ottawa Senators, they're not asleep here.
No.
Like, they're not at all. Like, 3 straight overtime games. It's the only series, I think, that has had 3 overtime games to this point. And I mean, Ottawa is not out of this. Like,
they're not
at all. Like, I think Toronto has probably been like the more threatening team 60 minutes at a time, but Ottawa, like, I know people are talking about like the shot differentials being in Ottawa's favor, but it's perimeter based. But even when you factor that in, Ottawa still does have the possession advantage here, right? Like, they are getting, on average, the better chances.
I think the biggest thing is that the Leafs have, like, and I don't have the exact numbers on me, but like battles, like puck battles and face-offs have been such a huge, like a huge swing in the Toronto Maple Leafs' favor. Like I think it was in Game 3 and Game 4, or maybe 2 and 3. The Leafs had like over 80% puck battle wins against the Ottawa Senators, which you cannot do. You cannot expect to win a game where you're getting outworked on the puck 80% of the time plus. So like, I think that's been a huge thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, where they're able to break things up pretty well because they have big physical defensemen who that's their job. It's just been interesting that this is not necessarily a style of play that I'd want to have for my team personally, but they're making it work so far. And I don't know. I'm unsure that they can win the Stanley Cup playing like this, but they have the talent to pull this off for at least a little while, I think, with this style of play. Because the top end of the roster is so good with the Toronto Maple Leafs that they're able to bail them out and like do good counterattacking plays or get their chances on the power play, and that's kind of 100%. Where they've been able to get ahead in this series.
Yeah, like, I think the Leafs this year, when you watch them, like, 3 straight overtime games, I would argue a couple of those very, very, very easily could be Ottawa's games without Anthony Stolarz in net.
He's been good, despite the low save percentage. But yes, go ahead.
Yes, he's been good. But this season, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't think any of these games they've pooped their pants.
Nope.
Like, in every single year in early season, like, they might win game 1 in previous series, but then poop their pants game 2, poop their pants game 3, poop their pants game 4, win game 5, lose game 6, or get to game 7 and lose. Like, Toronto, like, the thing about Toronto is, like, the stat, I think, is that they're 1-12 when up with 3 wins in a series since 2017 or something like that. 2018. Like closing a series, they're 1-12, which is not a good record. But in previous years, and you called me a cynic, and I am a cynic, but in previous years, you watch the Leafs and you can kind of see
why
that you can kind of see why. It's just a great series between 2 teams that are really going at each other.
Yep.
And Toronto hasn't disappeared, but neither have the Ottawa Senators. Could this series be 2-2 at this point? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think the series is over at all, but they are going into Toronto. The Scotiabank Arena was pretty intense game 1 and 2. And the vibe seems a little bit different among fans right now. But
Mentally,
it,
this team feels a lot more resilient than I've ever seen it, and that's
yes,
something that I feel pretty strongly about as a big advantage for this
I
team.
I get the feeling that the thing that has shifted for Toronto is they all of the changes last summer were now the big boy pants are on. Like now you better figure this out. Like this is untenable. So figure it out. And we're giving you a new coach, new manager, totally new approach to how this team operates. Say what you will about the long-term, the long-term success of that style, this style of
Mm-hmm.
thing, but it's different. And they are playing like a team that is mature, more mature than they were. I would
Very
argue that
structured.
I would argue that Ottawa has had their moments of looking like the less mature team.
Yes,
But I want to sugarcoat that by going like they're still in this. Like
they've
this
played
I don't
well.
think is they have played well. I would not be surprised to see Ottawa rip Toronto's hearts out at home tomorrow night, and then they go back to Ottawa. Like if they get back, if Ottawa can win and take this back to Ottawa for Game 6, that place is going to be a zoo. Like I, I don't I don't know where you go from there, but
I still
this
think the Leafs end up winning this series.
I mean, I guess
You're just not
they
gonna
only need to
say
win.
you're just not gonna say it, so that's
Well,
okay.
I'm obviously biased because my bracket has Ottawa winning, so I have to paint it as if Ottawa can pull this off, which I think it's again like obviously coming back from 3-0 is next to impossible, but 3 games in a row going to overtime and outshooting the Leafs and getting a lot of really good chances, you repeat that over and over and over and over again, like maybe they get a little bit of a breakthrough, catch the Leafs sleeping a couple of times tomorrow night, and you slowly start to get that belief in and start to put some cracks in Toronto. But I think the difference now is that Toronto is way better at what's the gif of Seth Rogen putting the duct tape over the crack? Like they're way better at doing that than they were before. So we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
But another great series. Having tons of fun watching it, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night in Toronto.
Yep, we will
Not
see
going to
it.
a game this year. I
Uh,
can't afford going to a game this year, so I won't be there. But I wish I could because I would probably go to that one.
all right, so Vegas, Minnesota, a series that, based on my Stanley Cup predictions bracket, should be over by now, but it's not.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I called Vegas in 5. But
Minnesota's been really
mini
good
Minnesota has been really good. Like they have been right there. I also want to shout out fourth line center Marco Rossi, goals in back-to-back games.
because he's
Um,
sick.
because he's terrible. That's why he's on the fourth line. If he were so good, he wouldn't be so small. Um,
Yeah, he'd be 6'5" on skates, and you wouldn't have to teach
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, you can't teach that. Um, I mean, yeah, like I think Vegas is playing their game when I watch this series. I haven't seen every minute of it, but
Mhm.
like watching Vegas play, you can they're still trying their thing. They have their vibe, and they have the guys like Eichel. They have the Shea Theodores, the guys who have that more offensive impact. But Minnesota is, not letting them get not letting themselves get run over here. They're countering pretty well. Kirill Kaprizov didn't get any goals last night or the other day, but he's been really good.
Mhm.
Um, Marcus Foligno has 3 goals in this series as well, and he's just banging them in. Like, not a guy I would expect to be playoff leadership style guy or playoff scorer type guy, but here he is. I don't know. I don't have much to say about this series because it's really tight to me, tighter than I thought it would be.
Yep.
I mean, Philip Gustafson too has been
Yes,
like
that's where I was gonna
some of the
go.
some of the saves he had a couple games like that last game a couple days ago, 10 out of 10s. Like some unbelievable saves from him. He stopped 42 of 46 and lost. Like if he can keep that up, this could get very, very interesting. But I still think this is tilted towards Vegas just because I think they're a little bit more like, I think they're going to wear down Minnesota a little bit just from how they play.
They've also got home ice advantage back. They've been able to
Yep.
take it back from them. So
Yep.
we'll see how it
Yep.
goes. But credit to Minnesota, credit to Matt Boldy, who's been
100%.
awesome.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Matt Boldy, 4 goals in the series as well.
He rocks.
Yep. You know, like there's not much to there's not much else to say about
Playing
this
at a
one for
very
me.
even level, both of these teams.
They
And
are.
the
They're
goaltending
keeping
has
up with
been
each
really
other.
good on Minnesota's side. I don't remember how well it's been holding up on Vegas'
It hasn't
side.
been as good. Yeah. Aiden Hill got pulled in game 3. He gave up 4 on 16 in game 2.
He's right towards the bottom of the.
Yeah, Aiden Hill has not been very good.
He's actually got a worse save percentage than Darcy Kemper. Damn.
Very interesting.
So that's probably been a huge part of this. And I will say I haven't seen this series as much because working the hours I do is not fantastic for being able to see playoff hockey because I have to sleep in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's understandable. I do try to watch these games too because I do like Minnesota is a team that I've been very drawn to for years now. I've never actually been to Minnesota, but I've always wanted to go. I've heard very nice things. But also that might just be a sheltered Canadian like me wanting to go to the Canada of America. But nonetheless, good series so far though. It's been pretty back and forth.
Yep.
You know, Vegas winning 1, then Montreal or Minnesota winning 2, then Vegas winning in overtime last night. Like that. But again, it's similar to the Oilers series. Like Minnesota was up in that game 3-2, you know, going into the last, and then less than a minute after Jared Spurgeon gave them the lead, the game was tied up again. Like that game was in Minnesota's grasp. Like Minnesota might be able to pull this off.
It's possible.
It's possible, especially if Aiden Hill is continuing to be the goaltender that he's been, but that's no guarantee either. You know, Gustafson's been amazing. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's been a good one too. This is a good series.
Now it's time for your favorite state in all of America. We're heading to Florida.
I don't care. Next.
What do you mean you don't care?
Florida.
Just because you hate Florida doesn't mean we can skip this series, okay?
I know. This is the series I've seen the least, though, in no joke. So this one's a bit of a blank slate for me. So I don't know if you want to take this one over. But
it was just kind of interesting considering that the Panthers took a 2-0 series lead in Tampa and now have Tampa's fought back, and Brandon Hagel at the end of game or at some point in game 2 hit Alex Barkov and got suspended for a game, and now he's back.
He's going to come back.
Picked up a win in this series. I just love it. I haven't seen a ton of this series as well because, again, working night shift is not fantastic. But I'm definitely going to tune in tonight.
Yeah, 100% tuning in tonight.
And it just feels like two juggernauts going after each other. And I want a 7-game series where both teams end up in a war of attrition. So the Toronto Maple Leafs can have a 4-game series win against whoever comes out of this, but that won't happen.
Yeah. That's another thing too in the chat. No home team has won a game in this series yet. That's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
It's bizarre, but yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't seen much of this series, so I am really looking forward tonight. I'm not going to pretend like I have a good grasp on what's going on here. I saw bits of game 1, and just once Florida kind of went up, I just kind of called it a day, and I saw parts of game 3, and again, once Tampa kind of started running away with it, it was whatever. But tonight I'm excited, and it's also going to be a super, again, these are also the games I love too. Game 4s of a 2-1 series, the difference mentally between a 2-2 series and a 3-1 series is
humongous,
gargantuan, humongous big, so I'll be very, very interested to see what happens tonight. And I just don't have much else to say about this.
It's kind of crazy though, because Florida completely outshot them in the game as well.
Right.
There's a lot of penalty minutes in this game on both sides. Nobody scored on a power play, and the Lightning had 5 chances and the Panthers had 4 chances. It also could be a result of Florida being behind most of the game. Looking at the box score here, Florida got out to an early lead, but then Tampa wrestled it back at the end of the period and then got out in front. and from there they just kept going. Gage Gonzalez has 3 points in this series.
I did not,
Yeah,
but good for him.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yep.
So good on him. But yeah, man, it was nice to also see Anthony Cirelli healthy as well and putting it in the empty net. I'm just excited. I want to know, is Oliver Bjorkstrand back, or is he coming back anytime soon? Because I feel like that could be a huge swing for them as well. Because Oliver Bjorkstrand's a really good player. So let me actually take a look
love
at
my
that.
Oliver Bjorkstrand.
But beyond that, I think I'm happy to move on. I just want to see what's going on with him. Because, apologies, but I just haven't.
That would be a big boost. Yeah, I mean, can't watch literally everything, especially with the under 18s going on. I'm trying to watch as much of that too, and my brain is just really scrambled. I don't know. Plus, again, my gripe with Microsoft and just juggling all of these things is really, really not pleasant, not awesome, but kind of is. I don't know. It's weird.
So, we're ready to move on to the final series then.
Yes, sir. Let's do that.
I didn't find anything about Bjorkstrand, so I imagine he's still hurt.
Still hurt. But Dallas, Colorado.
Yeah, man. What a series.
The Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars.
Whoever wins this series wins the Stanley Cup is kind of what I feel.
I've got Colorado winning in 7. This one's going to be a bit of a nail biter, I think. I'm
so excited. I'm so excited to watch it.
I'm so excited to I love watching these two teams play too. Like, they both play such my kind of hockey.
Yes.
They're both skilled, they're both quick, they both have some physical energy to them as well, especially Dallas.
Colorado plays, I think, a lot more on the speedy side of things.
Colorado plays Martin Necas is one of my favorite guys in the league. He's one of my favorite players in the league, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not paying enough attention.
Somehow made the team better.
That's what I was gonna say. And I remember when we watched those two guys back to back when they were traded for each other. I was way more impressed with Martin Necas than I was with Mikko Rantanen. I know Rantanen has his job and he is very talented and all of these things, but I watched the Colorado Avalanche and I go, Marty Necas, when Nathan MacKinnon is not on the ice, Necas looks like one of their best forwards, if not their best that isn't named Nathan MacKinnon. He looks insane.
Because I think he is, straight up.
Yeah. And Gabriel Landeskog scoring a goal. Excellent moment in hockey. Just
he got 2
unbelievable.
Points.
He got 2 points. I mean, I am pulling for personally Colorado here, but
Brock Nelson also gets on the board as well with 2
points. Also,
really
good player too. Brock Nelson has been really doing well. I mean, I want Colorado to win in my heart, but Dallas, if they pull this off and manage to sort of get through Colorado here. I mean, not pull it off like they're against the wall or something, but win this series, they deserve it as well. But Colorado, man, the storylines with the players on the team, how much tumult there's been on the team over the course of the year. Trading Mikko Rantanen has been a huge thing, but here they are, and they've got Nathan MacKinnon, 4 goals, just driving the bus, and Again, tonight's going to be great. Both of those games tonight are going to be bangers. And Colorado, they're in Dallas.
This is a conference finals to me, in terms of quality.
It very easily
getting it in the
could
first
be that.
round, which makes it actually kind of better in terms of having everybody around and available, because there is attrition that happens in these playoffs where you're going to lose guys because of injuries. And how intense and physical the game gets. But oh my god. And the goaltending's been awesome in this series too. For the most part,
big time. Yeah. I mean, Ottinger, I think, got pulled once. Or was he injured or something?
But they've been pretty good, both of them. They both have over they both have over a 910. And Mackenzie Blackwood actually leads the league in save percentage, but I believe at 939. I'm just gonna make sure of that. Might be a little less. Yeah, it's a 939.
Yeah, the other thing too that was mentioned in the chat is Dallas is banged up. They don't have Robertson or Heiskanen. Losing Heiskanen's a huge hit. But I mean, but this is like, this series is also a really good example of like why this year's playoffs is just so interesting to me. Like,
And
if I told
open.
you, yeah, exactly. Like, if I told you that the Winnipeg Jets were in the conference final, would you believe me? Probably.
Yeah.
If I told you St. Louis was in the conference final, would you believe me? Probably not.
Nope.
But after seeing how they play against Winnipeg, I mean, there's part of me that goes, I don't know, I
I
could see
still
it.
don't think it. I just think Connor Hellebuck is
But they're not on the same level at all.
not
But like
close.
Colorado and Dallas, definitely, I could see those two teams making the Stanley or the conference final. Vegas, I would say definitely.
Yep.
Minnesota, probably not.
No.
But then
But
Edmonton,
they're keeping
LA,
up.
I could see Edmonton and LA getting themselves into the conference final.
I don't know
I
about
mean,
Edmonton.
well, you know
The
what?
only
You've
thing
got Connor McDavid, you've got Leon Draisaitl,
that's
you've
the
got
only
Evan. Like,
thing.
I know, but that's enough. Like, look at what happened last night. Like, it's enough to, like, they
But
did
they
this
had
all
Matthias
last year too.
Ekholm last year.
I know, but they're
Look,
the
Jake
proof of the
Wallman's been
pudding's in the
good,
eating,
but
man. It's
he's
right in
no
front of you.
Matthias Ekholm.
I know, but it's right in front of you. Like, you watch Connor McDavid play, and
I
he is not
know, but his
letting
team
lose.
is not good.
I'm just saying, it would not surprise me if I woke up yesterday morning and I knew the future, and the Edmonton Oilers were in the conference final. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's possible.
the point is, there are at least 4 teams, maybe 5 or 6, that you could say, yeah, I could easily see this team in a conference
Are you
final. So,
saying
like,
out of the
yeah,
West, that is?
yes, that's just in the West. Like, so obviously, looking at Colorado, Dallas, it's like, yeah, this is like a conference final, which is true. But a lot of these teams in a combination of some kind, you could say, could make a good conference final matchup. In the East, I don't know if you can say that about the East nearly as much.
I think there are 3 teams in the Atlantic that I think you could see in a conference finals.
Yeah.
And that's Toronto and the 2 Florida teams. And then maybe 2 in the Metro.
Yeah, Carolina, Washington.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But that's still a lot. That's 11
It's
of the
still a lot.
16 teams.
Yep. But like the gap, I feel like between Toronto and Ottawa is a little bit, I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say though. Like, there's a lot of teams this year where I go, I don't know, but like I could see them all going pretty far. So someone's going to get their heart shattered here that doesn't really generally deserve it, right? Like,
That's always what happens though.
And that's that is just that's the nature of sports, right? Like, that's just how it goes.
So how do you think? Well, I guess you answered this question about who you think is going to win, and I still agree that Colorado has the advantage, especially with all the injuries on the Dallas side of things.
Yeah.
Like, imagine Miro Heiskanen in this series. Imagine Jason Robertson in this series. But I think Miro Heiskanen is far more important when we think about it, because Jason Robertson, at best, is their second best forward, and I think he's their third best forward.
Yeah. Has Rantanen scored yet? I don't think so.
If he hasn't, that is not good.
Yeah, Rantanen has nothing.
So Mikko Rantanen is a Nathan McKinnon merchant, confirmed.
Does Mikko Rantanen suck now? There's our show for Thursday if they lose.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got 1 point.
Oh.
One point in the playoffs this year. He's -4 and had 18 in 20 games with Dallas. So
does Mikko Rantanen suck now? Yes.
Does Mikko Rantanen suck now? Granted, to be fair, Martin Necas, 0 goals himself.
But how many assists? We don't care that much about goals unless they augment the points, all right?
That's all I care about. Goals, goals, goals. Alex Ovechkin, greatest of all time.
And with that, our show is over. I now officially resign. No, I'm kidding.
Martin Necas. Yeah, he's got 1.2. So he sucks too.
Yep.
Oh well.
But he's fast, so he's actually all right in my books.
He's okay. All right. Well, anything else you want to go over? I think that's all of the series, right?
Yeah, that's everything.
So I'm just looking at my bracket. I thought it was worse than it actually is. I'm still not happy about it. But we'll see what happens over the next, like, tonight and tomorrow will obviously shed quite a lot on the trajectory of the playoffs.
Will needs a Tampa win and what?
I need
a Colorado win.
Yeah, Tampa and Colorado win
as
tonight.
do I for my bracket.
Yep. Yep. But I mean, there's a perfectly good chance Colorado wins. There's a perfectly good chance Vegas wins. There's a perfectly good chance LA wins. We'll see about Winnipeg. There should be a perfectly acceptable chance that Winnipeg pulls this off. So maybe I get the West perfect. The East, Carolina's going to win.
Yep.
I mean, I have to think Washington will finish it off at some point.
Yeah.
And then the other two, who knows? Toronto's probably going to win, but Tampa, Florida, I think that's a bit of a coin flip still. I have no idea.
It's I wouldn't say it's quite a coin flip. I think I favor Florida at this point, considering they're at home.
That's true.
And they have a 2-1 series lead. But if Tampa wins tonight, it's a coin flip.
Yeah. We'll see. Anything else? And then we move on. Do some questions before the end of the day.
Let's do some questions.
All right, let's do it.
But first, ad read. We haven't done this in a while because we forget.
Well, all of our ads are in the description, but we're brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our affiliate link in the QR code on the video screen, or you can use the chat message as well that I just threw in there, and we'll get a small kickback on anything you buy in the store wide at Fanatics. We're also brought to you by Puck Preps Hockey. I'm actually quite active over there right now doing some under 18 coverage. So I'm going to have full write-ups on the entire Canada-US rosters. So I've been trying to stay on top of that as best I can. That will be coming over to Puck Preps, and you can definitely check out the QMJHL Cup also just happened, and they've got some good coverage over there. So check that out. And of course, if you want to yell at my good friend Jordan Millette about his OHL takes now that the draft is over, now's the time to do so. And you can see his takes over at puckpreps.com. And of course, scouching.ca, which is my website. You can get a subscription over there. You'll get all our reports earlier. You'll get access to our Discord server. We've been watching hockey games in there together over the last couple of weeks. It's been a good time. And you'll also get access to tons of data tools and visualization stuff and all kinds of fun stuff that you will not find anywhere else because I make the data myself. All right. On that note,
data.
Homemade, the best kind. Yeah, data made right in my own kitchen. Sugar, spice, and everything nice or whatever, right? Okay. Well, what do we got here? Yeah, we've got someone in Finland tuning in right now, and I think it's I guess it's not that late in Finland right now. It's fine. I guess that's why we do afternoon shows, to do night in Europe. And I know we have people in Europe who watch, but regardless,
we love you. We love you all.
Yeah,
all of you who watch. I love you.
Yeah.
Even if you tell
all
me
of you
hate me,
even if you're dirty communists. Thoughts on Matthew Guard? Yeah, I mean, I think Guard is interesting. He is I mean, he's a very good skating guy for a guy his size in terms of generating speed, applying pressure on the forecheck. He's been a guy who I think has a really simple but effective game at the WHL level. I mean, he's a guy where if he goes 35th overall, I could see why a team would do that. And I feel like they'll end up with a player. Like, I think back to the Ducks drafting Niko Majatovic at 33, and Majatovic is okay, but I feel like in terms of projecting to the speed of the NHL, a guy like Guard might make a little more sense, but I still feel like there's a lot of other players I'd look at before him. But he's a good one. Like, if he gets wherever he gets picked, if it's the first round, then that's a little bit nutty, I think. But I think he's the type of player that people have kind of disregarded a little bit in the past because they're seen as like overly simplistic and like not enough diversity in their game. Guys like Will Cooley come to mind. Luke Tuck. I mean, he hasn't like become an NHLer yet, but like these speedier, more physical guys with a bit of skill to them as well. And they just sort of hope they round out their games a little bit over time. So yeah, I kind of like him. But he's like more of a late second, early third round on my list right now. Tom Wilson has surprised me as far as how well his game has held up. I thought he was going to crater in his early 30s like Lucic, but unlike a lot of power forwards, he's adapted. That's true. I mean, he's picked his spots a lot more now. I remember when he was younger, and it felt like every time Tom Wilson went over the boards, you're like, he's out there trying to hurt someone. Like, he's out there trying to antagonize and injure people. Like, I don't know if I like this guy. But then now, as like a grown up, as a guy in his 30s, he's playing a lot more of like the psychological side of things, I think, and picking his moments to make an impact, literally, right? He had a few huge hits last night, but I wouldn't say every single or the other night, but I wouldn't say every single shift Tom Wilson was out there trying to take everyone's heads off every single time, which is what he kind of was before. Like he's kind of balanced things out a little bit. And I think they were talking about it on the broadcast that like I think they asked him about this, and he's been like actively trying to find that edge of the envelope a little bit more reasonably recently, like try to balance things a little bit better than being that full-time antagonist who's trying to run everyone over all the time. And look, last night it turned the tables of that game. The whole vibe shifted with one big hit. Did it actually, if I'm sitting on Montreal's bench? I don't know, but it certainly felt like it. And Carrier has been good for Montreal, I think. He's been pretty good this series. He's been a stabilizing presence for them, and losing him, that's a hit.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a hit for the Montreal Canadiens going into the end of the series. What's the upside for Jack Murtagh? Can you see him as Detroit's choice at 12? I wouldn't do that. I mean, I've got Murtagh like a second or third round pick right now. I think Murtagh, I know he's been scoring in the under 18s. But I've been watching him all year, and he's still playing like Jack Murtagh, right? Like on the plus side, he's very young. Like he's a very, very young player for this draft class. And he's a really good power forward. Like I think like you kind of have to set aside, like he scored 3 points against Switzerland, and the Swiss under 18 team this year is a bantam team. Like they are not that good at all. And like the NTDP as a whole, not an amazing team this year either, and they got pumped for 10. So Jack Murtagh getting almost all of his production in that game. Like I watched the US Sweden game end to end, and I thought Murtagh was a good power forward, but he's a player who I think needs I don't think he's Ryan Leonard, right? Like I don't think he's on that level. I think he's more of I don't know who. There's a lot of guys like him in the NHL, I guess, but I feel like at 12 this year, like yeah, the draft isn't particularly exciting in that range, but I think Murtagh is a really low upside bet with a bit like he's one of those guys where his best assets for me are once the puck is in the offensive zone and sort of off the half wall and in the top third of the ice, like which to me at that range of the draft is not something I'm super interested in. But I remember saying similar things about a guy like Jimmy Snuggerud, and here we are now. So I don't know, but I've seen Murtagh quite a bit this year, and I find him a lot less exciting than quite a few other players. And unless it's in very specific circumstances, which, it occurs, but I don't know. I don't really know what he is in the NHL. I don't really know exactly what his upside is. And I feel like regardless of what I think, he'll get drafted before I would take him personally. And so 12 for Detroit, I think would be a reach. Especially if a guy like Cullen Potter's available, and Cullen Potter has been amazing for the US in this tournament, which fully expected on my part. Phil Deneau is a beast. Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Marco Rossi and Bouillon for Larkin in a first. I feel like the Detroit are you a Wings fan? I feel like you're a Detroit Red Wings fan, because if I'm Bill Guerin, I am smashing my phone in half if you want to offer me Larkin and a first round pick for Zeev Bouillon and Marco Rossi. I don't know what the impetus is there for Minnesota to take that deal, but maybe they just really don't like Marco Rossi and Zeev Bouillon, and they'd rather have a also thin but speedy center in Dylan Larkin and a mystery box maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do that. That's another thing too. The Washington Capitals have gone the entire series without Eliakase Protas. That's a body that's missing there, and he's a big boy
30
for
goal
sure.
scoring body.
30 goals score, big boy.
At least I think.
100%.
Sure.
Yep. What do you think Nestrasil's ceiling is, and do you have an NHL comp for that? I think Nestrasil is a decently high ceiling guy who just hasn't gotten there yet. Like he plays like a guy who I don't think I think he's one of these guys that he just needs to put the pieces together a little bit more. Like he's got skill, he's really lanky, He's pretty good on his skating edges. Like he covers ice really well with his size, and he plays a pretty physical game quite often. But it just doesn't like his offensive production at 5-on-5 in my games that I've seen him has been extremely limited. He's pretty deferential to others on the ice a lot of the time, and I would like him to sort of be a little more assertive and attack focused more than anything. And maybe you can get that into his game, I think, but I don't know. He doesn't really come off as like fully understanding what his capabilities might be. And I know that probably means I have him too low because it sounds like I really really like him. But I mean, and yeah, like he's in a tier for me where if he's a late first round draft pick, I'm not against it at all. I'm not against it at all. I see the appeal. I feel like he has a ways to go to get there, and I think he's got like it's like he has to come to the realization of like things that he can do and try more, and then trying to move from there. But I mean, you leave him in college for a while, and I feel like you could get something interesting out of him. I don't know about an NHL comparison, um, but yeah, he's got tools to do it for sure. Uh, Bouchard would be a monster if Edmonton had Slavin, but they don't. If they had Matthias Ekholm, maybe. But yeah. Uh, I have to think Dylan Larkin looked at the moves made by Montreal and St. Louis and felt a little bit bitter about the Yzer plan. Maybe, maybe. Hey, I've been advocating for years that the Detroit Red Wings need a toy to play with that isn't just Dylan Larkin up front or Lucas Raymond. And I mean, they have guys up front, but
Patrick Kane. But Patrick Kane will.
Sure.
I know he's a UFA, I'm pretty sure.
And he's probably out golfing right now. Yeah, LA did not play a fourth line or their third player defenseman. That's true as well. I remember seeing that as well on the game sheet that a bunch of guys on that team barely played. So they were riding their horses pretty hard.
I love when your Canadian accent just pops out from time to time.
Hey, buddy, it's election day. Gotta play it up hard. Gotta get her going and go to Timmy's and get a donut or something.
Yeah, I don't believe you now.
No. I'm willing to give Bouillon a pass, but are you concerned at all with his early results? I mean, he hasn't been amazing, but no.
He's playing against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, he's playing against the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, that's like, welcome to the NHL, buddy. Like, that's a tough team to play against if you're a defenseman. They want to eat your head when they're on the ice. And that's a lot to get used to. And he is a finesse player who I think has gotten a lot better defensively since last year, but I still like I said this about even Ivan Demidov, right? Like I expect some kind of adjustment curve for these guys, right? Like Demidov, I think on the power play, like AJ said earlier, huge asset. He's been a huge boost, huge asset. At 5-on-5, I think you see a lot of areas with Demidov's game where you're going, he's still getting there. Like he's not looking 100% comfortable in the NHL yet. Very talented, obviously, and he has some unbelievable moments.
But he's 19.
But he's 19, right? Yeah, like with anyone, literally anybody drafted, you can sort of see these growing pains. And that's
William is
fine.
Also 19 and just 3 days older than Ivan Demidov. So
yeah. And like there are other players from last year's draft that have been playing with their teams, but they're just not in the same situation. Like they're able to get reps, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's perfectly fine. Like, what the other thing too is when I get asked questions like this, it's like, what benefit is it to you to look at Zeev Bouillon, who is less than a year from being drafted, and going, I'm concerned about him? Like, that sets you up for disappointment. And like,
he's a good player.
Yeah, and it's like he's played 4 NHL games. Like he's only played in the playoffs, I think. So what's your expectation, right? Like I guess you could be worried if you wanted to be, but it's not a benefit. I know I wouldn't, but like, it seems like this happens with people where they look at players and they're like, like like the Leafs with Timothy Liljegren, the Bruins with Fabian Lysell. It's like, this player hasn't like gotten to this point, or they haven't done this or this or this. Like,
And now Bruins
when do we get
fans
concerned?
love Fabian.
Yes, but like, when do we get concerned? And it's like, I don't know. Like,
You
don't. You don't. Like, I don't know. You're not in control of this. You just have to be hopeful, right? And I look at Zeev Buium and I see a guy who is going to be a tremendously productive defenseman at some point. So chill, enjoy the fact that he's a Minnesota Wild player, and enjoy the ride, however long it lasts. They're having fun. It looks like that series looks like fun, I guess, in quotation marks. So a certain hockey athlete's version of fun. Um, Where are we here? Oh yeah, Antti Niemi. We talked about Antti Ranta. I said Antti Ranta earlier. It's the other Antti. It's the other Antti. Antti Niemi is the guy who I was thinking of.
I think I was, as much as he didn't have a good end to his playoffs, I was thinking of Arthur Seelovs.
Right. Oh, yeah.
For Callum Pickard's
CHL
Arthur Seelovs of this year. So he'll fall apart at some point.
Yeah. Conference finals in the CHLs are starting off and are very underwhelming. Every series is 2-0. That's true. If London wins tonight, they're going to be 11-0 in the playoffs. Yes. I mean,
awesome.
This is the CHL though, right? Like sometimes, like once it gets to the tippy top, those teams are really, really, really good. So that's why they trade every draft pick they have for whoever they're going to have for a season or half a season, because this is what they play for. They play to be the team that is here and the team that is just running away with these series and running their way to the finals. I mean, I don't expect every series to stay 2-0. I'm pretty sure there are some series that I think will close a little bit from here, especially I'm most familiar with the WHL and OHL right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't expect Rouyn-Noranda to beat Moncton. I don't expect Shawinigan to beat Rimouski. But it doesn't like it. If Rimouski wins the series, whoever wins Moncton or Rouyn-Noranda goes to the Memorial Cup anyway. Kitchener, I feel like, could make it interesting against London, but I don't expect Barrie to beat Oshawa. Lethbridge, maybe wins a couple against Medicine Hat, but I would be surprised. And pretty sure Spokane. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Spokane, Medicine Hat in the final, then Oshawa, and probably London and Moncton, Rimouski, and this. But these teams have wire to wire this season been the sort of powerhouses of the leagues, especially Spokane since the trade deadline, when they got Crystal and have just looked insane. And the Silvertips lost Carter Bear and then lost a couple of games in overtime. Yeah, like the Portland Winterhawks won 3 of their 4 games beating the Everett Silvertips in overtime. So unfortunately for the Silvertips, it ended here, but Everett Spokane could have been one heck of a series. But we'll see what happens with the Portland Winterhawks in their series there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's true. Literally any aged Leaf fan can talk about trauma. Like I could talk about trauma all day.
Yep.
The Colton Orr, Fraser McLaren fourth line. Oh my god.
That was my favorite line as a kid. Because I didn't get it back then. I just thought, go smash. Awesome.
Yeah. Someone mentioned Duncan Keith in 2002 being a really great pick, and that's true. 54th overall for Duncan Keith is pretty nuts. Someone mentions Jackson Blake in the 4th round. I mean, maybe, but I don't think you can say that with the same level of confidence as what Matt Nyes has done like this season with Toronto. He's one of their most dependable forwards, like that isn't paid $10 million.
Best player even on the team.
Well,
like
that isn't a goalie.
Skater.
Yeah. Which German has impressed you at the under-18s? I have not seen Germany play once. I'm not going to lie. I have not seen that team play.
Because Will hates Germans.
Yeah. I've seen a little, but not enough to be sure. But mostly because I was curious of what Maxim Schaefer was going to do here and Dustin Wilhoft, and they're about what I remember from them during the season watching them. I'm also curious about Elias Schneider, but I don't think I draft him. But yeah, Schaefer's been kind of the guy for them, I think. Carlos Hondel has been there too, but yeah, I don't know. They're not going to get relegated, though, I don't think. How do you beat the Kings on their home ice? They seem unstoppable at home. You don't. The harmonica choir makes it impossible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Did they go back to them for game 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It better be there for game 3, man. I need it. That, honestly, might be one of the best things that is not something personal for me that has happened all year long. Like one of the best things that has entered my eyeballs as entertainment all year long is the Korean harmonica choir. That has been just astoundingly wonderful. Yes, I mean, if anybody does want to make a shorts remix of me saying "pooped my pants," they're more than welcome to. I don't want to comb through the live stream and do that. I mean,
or you can pay Rayanne. Rayanne will do a good job.
That's true.
I
could. Yeah,
not true. You. Whoever wants it.
Yeah, that's true.
Rayanne's available for however much he says he's available for, but I'm sure you could probably give him $5 and he'd be happy.
Right. The big reason Lawton got the return he did was because of two things: center premium and not a rental. That's true.
I know, but it doesn't mean I would do it.
Yep.
I can understand why he got the return he did. Just I think it's stupid.
With Djurgården getting promoted to the SHL, I'm curious about what happens with Viggo Bjork. Will they really give big minutes to 3 juniors with Eklund, Frundell, and Bjork? Surprise NCAA move. I don't know the answer to that question. I would imagine that Eklund and Frundell will be there because they were there. Like Frundell, outside of his injuries, like he was there most of the year. Eklund was there all year. Viggo Bjork, even, I think he played a couple. Like, did he play a handful of games? Viggo Bjork. Why is his name not popping up in
because he doesn't exist?
Because he doesn't exist. Viggo Bjork. I think he played for the men's team. He did. He played 1 game and scored a goal. Yeah, I mean, does he go to the SHL next season? I imagine they're gonna give him. The beautiful thing about Sweden is they can loan guys out, right? Like, if they bring him to camp for the SHL, I mean, it's not unheard of that SHL players play in the SHL in their draft year. But if he doesn't make it, which I'm not 100% convinced he's quite ready for that yet, they could loan him to a second division team, right? And I think Djurgården has done that before. I think they loaned that defenseman Arvid Bergstrom to Almtuna, I think. So maybe there's something there that they could just loan him out somewhere. I doubt that he leaves the team entirely and comes to North America or something. But maybe I'll bug some of my Swedish friends about what that possibly could look like. But I would be, I mean, if the 3 young guys are good enough to play in the SHL and make a difference, then play them, I say. Besides the inevitable Schaefer, how many Stanley Cup winning top 4 defensemen are currently in the Sharks system? I mean, Dickinson.
Cagioni?
I don't.
Maybe.
I mean, Stanley Cup contending quality. I like to have him, but
third pair, yes. Oh, Timothy Liljegren.
Yeah.
Timothy Liljegren.
But he's not in the system.
Doesn't matter. He's there.
He's right.
You have a top 4 defenseman in Timothy Liljegren, so
yeah,
I'd be happy with that.
Maybe Yevgeny Kashnikov can turn it around. I don't know.
Shakir Mukhamadullin, obviously.
Yeah, Shakir Mukhamadullin, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's like an insulator. You could see a Leo Saline Wallenius being a guy down your lineup, but again, like a Stanley Cup quality defense group. It's very, very rare that an NHL team that wins the Stanley Cup is full of guys they drafted. Like it is, I would be I'm pretty sure that is a very, very, very rare occurrence. So again, the drafted.
How many of the defensemen on Stanley Cup, like on the contenders this year,
Yeah.
are
Half of the guys on Florida last year were like waiver claims. like,
yes,
like they were just guys,
or
right?
guys that they brought in, right? Like
Yeah.
Forsling.
The
Also, Montour was a guy they brought in. OEL was a guy they brought in. I mean, Ekblad's been there with them, but like, yeah, fair bit of their team.
the draft is not the solution to everything. It's just a mechanism. That's all.
It's a place
It's
where
not.
you can
It's
add good players if you so choose.
yes, if you choose, or you could just add guys who are maybe do just throw over the boards and they play 10 minutes and then you look smart because
And
you
you
found
keep
them.
your job.
Yeah, you keep your job. Where are we here? We did that just now. Literally just now.
But yes, you're not gonna have 4 top 4 guys in your system ever.
No,
Very
never.
likely.
I mean, I feel like was it Nashville that kind of had that a little while ago, like when they had Gerard, and I don't know.
But he didn't
The point
end up
is,
playing there.
yeah, he didn't end up playing there.
Or that long, rather.
Yeah. What do you think about Quenneville potentially getting hired? I'm not a fan of it. No, I don't know. I don't think it has to be explained that much. Just enjoy retirement, man. Disappear. You had your fun. I guess the thing that I would say, separating the whole elephant in the room, like I really don't like this NHL head coaching carousel, as they say. Like, do your homework, right? Like, if you genuinely believe, if you're Pat Verbeek, if you 100% genuinely believe that the best thing to do for the team and that room is to bring in Joel Quenneville, okay, whatever. But there has to be someone out there that is qualified and a really good fit for what Anaheim is doing. Like, look at what Montreal is doing with Martin St. Louis. Anaheim is a young team. They have a lot of young players, especially defensemen. They have guys on that team who certainly did not fit what it seemed Greg Cronin wanted his guys to be. So, why wouldn't you really sort of think, how do I best get a guy who can communicate to 21-year-old players, 22-year-olds? We're drafting pretty high again. We're going to be adding more young players in the future, hopefully. How do I find a guy who can help Leo Carlson go to the next level, rather than just look at how big he is and go, you could play third line center for me and be a checker and a whatever and score 40 points a year? Sure. Like, can you find a coach that, not just the guy who's won a Stanley Cup, I guess is what I'm saying. Obviously, winning a Stanley Cup is a huge thing on your resume, but the Anaheim Ducks, there's more to winning a Stanley Cup than just who's coaching you. Like, how many times have we seen coaches win a Stanley Cup and get fired a year later, right? Or win the Jack Adams Trophy and get fired a year later, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think that one's more common.
That's more common, but like none of it really matters. Like, so find someone who really fits what you're trying to do here and isn't just the shiny object in the room, even if that shiny object comes with the anchor on it that a Joel Quenneville does. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've disagreed with a lot of what the Anaheim Ducks have done here and there, but I mean, that would be another thing where I'm like, you are being given, the Ducks have given themselves, not only is their branding and marketing awesome, but over the years of drafting, they've given themselves so many fun toys to play with. And Greg Cronin, to me, from what I read and seen of the Ducks, just felt like a boat anchor. And replacing that with just the next experienced old guy seems like just kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the Ducks can do a lot better than that. And just think outside the box, because look at what Montreal did, right? Like, don't you want the Anaheim Ducks to be like Montreal, like next year, where they grind their way into a playoff spot and have a lot of fun and look like they're enjoying playing hockey? Because I don't know, maybe Joel Quenneville's the guy to do that, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold on that at all. let alone
He
the
is a
baggage.
good coach, but there is baggage.
I could not care less. I mean,
just had to
what?
mention it that he is a
Yes,
good coach.
I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but he also has not coached in a while. I just don't. Yeah, I just don't think. Yeah. Okay. Where are we here?
But he'll go to the Rangers.
Well, there you go.
That's what I think. At least I think it's very possible.
Yeah. Jalapeno poppers or mozzarella sticks? Jalapeno poppers for me.
Jalapeno
100%.
poppers.
Mozzarella sticks are one of those foods where I haven't eaten one in a long time, full disclosure. But that's because whenever I do eat a mozzarella stick, I feel disgusting. You know, like I eat it and I'm just eating a block of cheese that has been fried and it's not even that good. Honestly.
It's all right, honestly.
I mean, you're the Italian. It feels like to me, it might be virtue signaling, but it feels like a real bastardization of something that Italians hold dear, which is mozzarella cheese. I don't like
know.
it's
I
a
don't
bit
really
insulting.
care
Just
that much.
Deep frying mozzarella cheese.
It's more insulting to put pineapple on pizza.
That's true.
But
I mean, I sometimes do that, but I don't care.
I will not say that it isn't delicious because it is, but it's still more insulting to Italians, and it's wrong. Even though it's good. I will admit, I mean, it's very good. I like Hawaiian pizza, okay? But it's not pizza.
Yep. I like I like jalapeno poppers because I like the taste of a jalapeno, and I'm kind of okay with spicy food, and so having that, you know, is good. But if I'm getting a fried food as an appetizer at a pub or something, for me, calamari. That's the one I'm doing.
Calamari's a good one, yeah.
I'm a sucker for seafood, and I don't know, calamari. Hard to screw it up.
I love
and that's a good one.
As well.
Yeah,
I love seafood. So
yeah,
take me out for octopus one time, please.
Specifically octopus.
Octopus is great.
I know a great place to get octopus.
Is it a Greek place?
Actually, I'm kidding. I don't know where to go get octopus, but probably it's a Greek place.
Greek or Spanish tapas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge. Personally, I do really like octopus and stuff, but I feel a little. They're one of the animals that I
really
feel
smart,
a little weird about eating, because they're like, if humans disappeared off the face of the planet, I would not be surprised if octopus or squid formed the next intelligent society. Like, it just feels weird. Like, it would be like if there was aliens or something a million years ago that were eating primates. You know, it's like, just doesn't feel
they
quite
weren't?
right. Well, exactly, right? There's no evidence that they weren't. You know? But that to me is like, it's just a little strange. So I tend to go towards seafoods that just are hopeless in terms of evolutionary biology turning into something intelligent, like mussels or scallops or you know, whatever. Like, I'm not a big lobster guy.
I like lobster, but I get it.
I don't mind it. Like, my family out east, they go nuts for it.
Well,
but like, I don't know, it's kind of fine. I know. But like out there though, the scallops in Nova Scotia, like, whew, some of the best food in the whole world. And you don't even need to do anything. You just throw them in a pan and, you know, and you got food, you got dinner. It's good stuff. Where does Hayden Papanekas get picked, and how do you view him? So Papanekas is kind of like a less physical but more skilled Matthew Guard profile to me, where it's like, he's an okay skater, he's got some skill. I feel like he'll go second round. Again, there's other players that I'm more interested in. He's just tall and skilled. So again, it's like mystery box. Like, what could he turn into? And he's had some really high end moments, I think I've seen here and there, but when I track games of him and everything, it's just, you know, you're betting on long-term development. And I feel like that's sort of a mid-round thing for me, but I feel like NHL teams will go like second round on that. And like, I always think back to previous drafts where it's like Lane Hudson went 60th overall. It's like, am I going to take a Hayden Papanekas projected, you know, lanky guy with a road ahead of him, or am I going to take Lane Hudson in the second round? I'm going to take Lane Hudson in the second round. Like, it doesn't, you know, so for me personally, like, there's probably going to be a guy I'm more interested in, but that's not to say a guy like Papanekas can't develop into a decent NHL player. Yeah, that's, I mean, true. Rantanen has 0 goals. Marty Necas 0 goals. Logan Stankoven has 2, and they both came in one game. So,
So they
Where do
all
you think
suck.
yeah. Where do you think the Hurricanes will take Ivan Ryabkin? They're not. I
They're
would be
not. They're not going
shocked.
to
I
touch
would be
him.
shocked if Carolina drafted him. Seriously though, what pick is he? He will be outside the first round. I would be very surprised if he was a first round pick. I look, the chatter about him is bad. It's been bad all year, and he plays, in my opinion. And I
Bad.
don't say this about very many players in the draft because I don't. I'm obviously not at their level of talent, so I can't be too much of a jerk. But he kind of does play like a kid who just does not really seem to care about what people think or do or say. Like he just kind of is there, and I haven't seen much out of him where I'm going, that's a first round pick to me. Like he's in my late second, early third, I think, just as a maybe he figures his life out and things turn for the better, but it's not great. And from my discussions with people, it doesn't seem like his NHL, like unless he doesn't have the luxury of an under 18 or something to like turn things around. We'll see if he gets an invite to the combine. I imagine he probably will, but I don't think it's guaranteed. Like Central Scouting, I think had him in the 30s or something, and that's a maybe. I would say probably, but we'll see how his interviews go. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I would just be very, very, very surprised if things just all of a sudden took a turn and he ended up in the first round. And Jordan Millette actually just watched him the other day, and he will have some very, very funny things to say when he comes back on the show. Luca Pinelli scored 2 AHL goals in the playoffs, or his first 2. Good, right on. We love Luca Pinelli around here.
Yes, we do.
The Canes board: Ryabkin, Potter, Schmidt. Where do they get drafted? Who knows? But probably too low. I mean,
The Canes could get Potter. I could see it.
yeah, I could see the Canes doing Potter. Maybe. I mean, Schmidt. I don't know if he'll be a first round pick either. Honestly, like I could easily see Schmidt being a top like Crystal situation, like 40th something overall, and scores a ton in junior, and pro is kind of a question mark. But I like him. You know, I think he's pretty good. So yeah, those guys will probably go too low. Ryabkin, I'm kind of on the bus of like, I don't know. Thoughts on Luca Morelli's OHL playoff performance? I have not had a single minute to watch the OHL playoffs, honestly. I'm not going to lie to you. NHL, way more important to me. Like the NHL playoffs are so important to me because it's such a good barometer of what the best players in the NHL or in the world look like. Like that's why I watch it so intently, is because I want to see all of these players and why they are that at this level. Like, what is it about the Washington Capitals that made them so good, and how do they look in the playoffs and why? So, like, that's why I watch that. And I don't like in the OHL playoffs, you see games that are like 8-1, tons of sweeps, lopsided, whatever. It's like, okay, fine. Guys will have their fun. I'm way more interested in like the ultimate test for these guys. So between that, the under 18s, the 16 nationals I just had to go through, and getting reports going and finishing things up, I just do not have enough time, especially when my spare time at night is filled with whatever other nonsense Microsoft decides to shove at me on my Game Pass subscription in the next little while and the last little while. What do we think about Ekberg's performance in the U18? He's scoring a lot of goals. I still see Philip Ekberg there. He's still the same. He's been the same he's been all year, where he's got lots of skill. He's a bit shifty. He's got some finishing ability, and he's pretty smart. Like he's okay. He's not a bad player, but I don't know. I feel like you don't want to get too carried away with a few games at the U18s where Sweden is one of maybe 3 teams that are really a threat to win the whole thing. But he hasn't been bad. I just look at a player who's a little bit limited projecting him to the NHL. Like you go watch Philip Ekberg at the U18s and then go watch the NHL playoffs. I don't think those two things intersect too well right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just me. Um, yeah, Nico Mikkola is another one who's just a guy that Florida just found. Exactly. I'm concerned about Zeev Buium as in for his health because he's playing Vegas. It's true. I would be concerned too because everybody's health against Vegas is in jeopardy. Who are the Canes going to draft this year way too late? My answer for this for a long time was Alexander Zhuravsky, but he's now 5th in Europe according to Central Scouting, and like now I'm like, whoa, like that. Okay, calm down a little bit, because that was a guy where I'm going, yeah, fifth, sixth, seventh round, just draft the skilled Russian playing at the low level of hockey over there, stash him over there and see what happens. I mean, maybe it still will be him, but I don't know if it's as likely anymore. But if I'm trying to play like Carolina in my head, they do draft a lot of Russians, but I don't think there's a lot of Russians this year that I'm like, oh, this guy's actually sneaky kind of good. I mean, Ivan Fomin would be hilarious. If they draft Ivan Fomin in like the 7th round, that would be excellent. What else is here? What do we got? The draft is how you sustain success in a franchise. Yes, that's 100%. It's a big part of it. Look at Carolina. It makes your life, if you're good at drafting, it makes your life a lot easier. But it doesn't, like, drafting poorly is no guarantee that your team is going to stink. Unless, over the long term, yes, that's true. But in general, yeah, it is a tool through which good teams stay pretty good, and bad teams ideally should improve.
Well, it's like there's 3 ways to really get players: sign them in free agency, trade for them, or draft them. Like, there's different ways to actually get good players. And while the draft can be an integral part for some teams, in other cases it's not.
How many times do we see first round picks get traded for guys that are solid NHL players for years on end, and the first round picks that get used are long shots or something? Like, they don't turn out right. Like, a lot of the time when you trade draft picks, when you get a player back, you're getting the best player in that deal a lot of the time. Not necessarily all the time, but I'm sure statistically speaking, picks and stuff are kind of overvalued a little bit.
Foligno is better than Corson Ceulemans. Woohoo.
Right. Like, at the time you go, whoa, the Leafs paid a lot for that. But then you look back and you're like, they could have done better with that draft pick for sure, but they didn't. But what if they did? But they didn't. So it's like, okay. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is just that, like, it's not like you look at all these teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's not full with guys they've drafted. Almost every single team, you could probably look at them and see that, except maybe Montreal, right? Like, or Ottawa, right? But those teams are teams that did rebuild. They've been in the gutter for years. So obviously, if you're in the gutter for a long time and you don't improve, yeah, that's problematic. That's just, the draft is how you get better. That's how you get those really, really high end players for a long time. But yes, if you're good too, it's a good way to sustain success. But you could trade your picks every year, and if you play your cards right, yeah, you could be fine.
You just got to be good at something in terms of getting your players.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I would say drafting good ones is the least utilized in terms of where there's I feel like drafting players is a whole lot more potential and wide ranging outcomes. And I feel like a lot of teams don't do it as well as they could.
Yeah. All right, where are we here? Joe Thornton, head coach. Maybe as a Japanese guy, pineapple on pizza is good. It is good. It's just sacrilegious.
It's just not pizza.
It's wrong.
That's kind of the way I think of it now.
Yeah, Greek, Spanish, or Japanese on sushi. I don't know what that means. Yes, Koreans do love octopus. Scallops or abalone. I don't think I've ever eaten.
What is
abalone?
Abalone.
I don't think. Yeah, I've never eaten this, honestly. We don't get this much in Canada, I don't think. Where do they live? Yeah, abalone is a valuable source of food all over the world. It's a delicacy in Latin America, France, New Zealand, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. So basically all of the places I've really never been, except France. But yeah, I can't say I've eaten this before. So by default, I have to go scallops. And I probably would say scallops anyway. Scallops are S tier food. Oh, talking about cultures who eat octopus. Yes, that is true. They do that. There's a lot of. I love
Italians.
Spanish food.
No, I had octopus in Naples.
Yeah,
Spanish stew. It's awesome.
Spanish octopus dishes are really good too.
I imagine Portuguese people as well would eat octopus.
Probably. Under 18s just kind of reinforce how much better Stenberg might be than Frundell, Bjork, and Eklund. Yeah, I mean, number one, you got to be careful. Eklund's not there, but I do think Stenberg is better than Frondel. I actually just finished his data set today, so we're going to get going on those videos soon. I did both him and Eklund. I mean, I like Frondel. I think Frondel's going to be a good middle six complementary winger in the NHL, like a good physical guy. Stenberg is a contender, I think, for maybe second next year, first,
This is
second, third,
Ivar,
something like that.
yes.
Yeah, Ivar Stenberg. He's
Otto's brother.
unbelievable. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's unbelievable. The other one I want to throw out too is Xavier Villeneuve. Not you didn't mention him, but he has been spectacular for the Canadian under 18 team in this tournament, and he's next year. And if only someone had brought him up going into the tournament, as someone people should keep an eye on.
Don't
But
know who
yes,
you're
he is.
talking about, Will. Don't know
Yeah,
who would have done that.
I didn't just mention his name, AJ. Pay attention. But yeah, he's been unbelievable for the Canadians in this tournament. Um, yeah, if draft were the only thing, the Oilers would have 5 Stanley Cups. Exactly. Like, yeah, yeah. Despite all of that drafting, the
though?
Oilers. Well,
just because they had like a bunch of those picks.
But that's the thing. If the draft were the only thing that
but they
mattered,
fail everywhere else in the draft. Like they got a lot of top end players, but they still but drafting late too factors into that equation. Like who else have they got who they've drafted that's been like a world beater that's not in like a top, I don't know, like a top 5 or 10 pick. And the guys that have been that they've drafted outside of that, well, Dylan Holloway that I'm thinking of is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree, but yeah, I mean, doesn't matter. I think actually, I think that's it. Except for me telling me to try abalone. It's not that I'm not against trying it. It's just that I don't think I've ever had the opportunity. I don't. If I see like I'm the kind of person where if I go out to eat food or go to the grocery store, well, maybe not so much the grocery store, but if I'm out eating food that someone is preparing for me, and I look at a menu and I see something that I think is interesting and haven't tried before, I'll get it. Like, how bad could it be, right? How awful, how awful could the culinary experience be at a business if I try something different, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the time it works out okay, but I just don't think I've ever seen it on a menu here. Like, I'm in South Central Canada. Like, we don't, yeah, like our seafood selection is generally like
limited.
Octopus, scallops, maybe if you have money, lobster.
But octopus is not even like I don't see it everywhere.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's just, yeah, you are right that there is a bit of a guilty pleasure in it because they're really intelligent creatures.
Yes. Well, I don't get much pleasure out of it. I just don't think about it. I just get it out of my mind.
I try not to think about it.
Yeah, try not to think about it. And also, yeah, we'll close on this. This is a really good point, too, that Carolina has a big drafted group of players, but their major mechanism of improvement is trading. That's where drafting is very important. Drafting well is it gives you the tools to go out and get high-end players. Mm-hmm. Like, prospect hype is a value. Like, that is, look at the Ottawa Senators.
Could he get moved? Because like think about what Tulski's saying about him. He's like, oh, we expect him to be a major contributor, but then they could turn around and sell him for something better. Because I think he's a fairly pedestrian NHLer.
Yeah, but like you look at like Carolina's a great example, right? Like they got Jake Gensel as a rental. With guys they drafted. Brent Burns, Logan Stankoven, Jordan Staal was a while ago.
Max
like
Pacioretty, and he was he was hurt a lot of the time, but the games he played he scored.
That's the value of drafting well, is just drafting guys who get close, and you can, if you don't have room for them or you need something, it just gives you more to negotiate with. Yeah. Right. Like that's the value. It's not, like the enticing factor of like, wow, this guy has like 100 points in the OHL this season. Like, yeah, maybe we will give up our second line left winger for this guy. And then in 10 years, you're like, boy, that guy turned out to be fine. We're really happy with having the second line winger on it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, that's the value in it as well. Like drafting matters. Don't get me wrong. Like it's important, but the
It's one of three mechanisms.
importance, yeah, it's one of three mechanisms, and the importance of it that is as it's portrayed, and like the reactions from fans and such is a little bit extreme relative to its overall importance. But drafting well does matter in the long run. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think this stuff mattered. And it's just a matter of making the right call more often than the wrong one and finding out the reasons why things work. Some teams need to draft well, especially when they're not a hot place to go. That's also true, right? Like different places have different levels of attraction to players.
Yep.
So that's also a factor as well,
yeah,
for sure.
Mentioning Winnipeg is a really good example of a team that generally drafts fairly well and is successful off of the guys they draft. Think about that team. Like that team actually has a lot of players on it that they've drafted. But again, going back to something we talked about with the defense core, a lot of those guys weren't Winnipeg draft picks as well. Like what? Josh Morrissey and Logan Stanley are the two that come to mind of the guys they've actually drafted that are on that
are playing
line.
Yes, yeah, that are. Sandberg they drafted.
Okay,
but yeah, Pionk was a trade. I think Miller was a free agent. DeMello was a trade and then a free agent, or was he a free agent? Yeah,
but he wasn't there originally. Like I think he was on Ottawa.
But yeah, like Connor, Ehlers,
Scheifele was their first draft pick ever.
Yep, Perfetti, Scheifele,
Hellebuck was
all
a draft pick.
Picks. Yep. So it's like, obviously, in all things considered, drafting well. I mean, look at me. This is all I'm trying to do is like share what I think and why it matters, right? Like that's it. So it matters, but it's just like, like it's just I get a lot of questions about like, oh my god, my team is like, what do I do? Do I jump off a bridge if my team drafts this player at 13? And it's like, no.
The Edmonton Oilers drafted Reed Schaefer and turned him into Matthias Ekholm.
Yeah, like if you play your cards right, you can run a team where the draft is a deficient area. It's possible, but
why do that?
Smart,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
being smart and capable and like hedging your bets and making good bets is definitely an asset. So I would rather do it, but you don't have to. Like Winnipeg drafted Rucker McGroarty in the middle of the first round, who didn't want to really. It didn't work out there. They turned him into Braden Yeager, but like it doesn't really. If both of those players never really work out for Winnipeg, they're still one of the best teams in the league. And they have a bunch of young players who are going to be there for a while. And they have Brad Lambert. Who? I've never heard of him. Who's that guy? Anyway. I think that's going to be it for today. Yep. This was a lot of fun. We'll see you Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. Again, we are brought to you by Fanatics. You can use our QR code in the chat window or the stream window, or you can just check the description for all the links to all of our sponsors of the show, or partners of the show, if you want to call them that. Or you could go to scouching.ca, get a subscription. You'll get our scouching reports early. Again, tomorrow at noon and Wednesday at noon, we're doing the first two Scouching reports as YouTube premieres. So I will be there. And if there's any questions or anything, I am more than happy to participate. So yeah, this was a good one. Thanks again. I mean, strap in for the next couple of days of NHL playoffs, because Thursday,
Stanley Cup playoffs.
I imagine we'll have a tight 60 again on Thursday, because it's going to be a good time. I think there's some very important hockey between now and then. And again, if you haven't already, try to go out and vote. If you
live in Canada, that is.
If you live in Canada, right? No fraudulent voting from people who don't live in Canada. We don't need that. But if you live in Canada, please, give it a go. Even if it's voting for the Canadian Rhinoceros Party, because I think they have a pretty good platform too. You can check them out. Like, they want to make the Trans-Canada Highway one way. They want to ban guns and butter.
One way?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they want to ban winter.
What?
They want to put all of the national debt on a giant Visa card.
This is not an endorsement, by the way.
They want to repeal the law of gravity for holding us all back.
What?
They want to abolish higher education, or provide higher education to everyone by building taller schools.
Wait, is that actually a thing?
This is the real
This
political
is
party in Canada.
a
They want
real.
to tear down the Rocky Mountains so that people in Alberta can see the sunset over the horizon. What
Can we
else?
just end the episode, please? Can I just
I'm
say
just
go?
saying,
Can I just say go Leafs go and we get out of here?
I mean, you can if you want. You know, you're the controller here. But anyway, we'll call it on that. But you know what I'm trying to
Not
say
an
here.
endorsement. Please don't sue us,
Of
Canada.
course not. I don't know what your understanding of election law is, but we're not doing anything.
I swear you're
wrong
not
here.
allowed to endorse anybody as a Canadian.
Yeah, which we didn't do. We didn't do any of that.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see you Thursday afternoon. Party on. Be safe. And we'll see you then.
Go Leafs go.